Hi everyone, welcome into the Dream Giveaway Garage, and today we're here with an American icon and living legend, Big Daddy Don Garlits. Don, thank you so much for being here today.
Always a pleasure to come down here and see all these great cars, you know. I mean, you know, I love hot rods, but these things just unbelievable, the power and the technology that goes into them versus what we had back in the old days, you know. It's like coming into the 21st century, you know.
Oh yeah, I mean, I love the new cars, but I'm sure as you do, I love the old stuff too. You know, the art of tuning a carburetor by ear is a lost art now. There's not a lot of guys left around that could do that anymore.
Oh, I know that. You know, at our shop at the Drag Racing Museum, we have a little shop there that we do some outside work on occasionally, and we're just being overwhelmed with stuff like that. That there's just nobody can do it.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do, and they try at some of these places and they get it so messed up. It's unbelievable.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't want to disparage anybody, but you know, when the things started to change from, you know, the analog, the no computerized stuff, and points and resistors and all that, over to the new electronic stuff, you know, everybody was kind of scared because you had to have the computer and you had to plug it in, you had to do all that, and nobody knew how to do it. Now it's kind of gone the other way.
Exactly right. Everybody can do the computer. Nobody knows how to do the analog.
Yeah, so if you can't plug it in and give you a code, a lot of guys don't know how to diagnose anymore. But that's all of our old school machines, you know. But that's okay. I mean, there's still a lot of old guys like you and me running around that can still do that kind of thing. So.
And what was neat, a lot of those old machines were given to the museum years ago, and now we're using them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I tell you what, let me ask you this. For our audience who's watching out there, just in case there's like one person out there who doesn't know who Big Daddy Don Garlits is, let me do something real quick. So 144 event titles.
Yeah, national titles.
17 national championships, U.S. national
World
championships.
17 world championships.
World championships.
First over 170, 180, 190, 200, 240, 250, 260, and 270 in the quarter mile in a dragster.
Yep. And you have a car in the Smithsonian still.
In Washington, and they are opening a motorsports museum sometime in 2021. It's been held up a little bit because of COVID-19, and all these race cars that they have, and they have tons of automobiles that nobody ever sees or have ever seen, and all these are going to be on display in this new motorsports museum that should open sometime in 2021.
Yeah, and of course, you're in every racing hall of fame known to man. I'm surprised you're not in the baseball hall of fame. You're in every other one, so as you should be. Why don't you tell our folks out there, how did you get into drag racing? How did you go from being a guy who loved cars, because you grew up here in Tampa, right?
Yes, I did. I was born in Tampa.
Okay. So you went from a guy who loved cars, loved being around cars, loved driving, loved racing, and you parlayed that into being one of probably the most famous drag racer in the world, and now you are known around the world. How'd you get there?
You got time for a story like that?
I have all the time in the world.
First of all, I grew up on a dairy. From 1942 to 1950, I milked 50 head of cows with my stepfather and I, twice a day, 7 days a week. There was no school activities for me. I was working before school and after school. So I got the work ethic in me. And then I took accounting in school, and I graduated from Hillsborough High School with an accountant's degree and went right to work for Moss Brothers in downtown Tampa, which is long gone. 3 months into the job, my stepfather over breakfast says, "I can see you're not happy in your job. You ought to be into cars." I gave Moss Brothers my 2 weeks notice and went to work in a radiator shop over on Hillsborough Avenue, Williams Radiator Shop. Took a $20 a week cut and pay, and never looked back. And my girlfriend never spoke to me again that I was going to get married to. And from there, it was just working on cars. This wasn't about drag racing. This was just being a car mechanic. I learned a lot there. Then I went to Furman Chevrolet next, and then took a short little stint at the American Can Company, which is long gone also, because it paid so much money. But there was a layoff during the middle of the summer when they didn't hire you. You were just laid off. And I got a job at Langston's Garage with an old friend of the family, Craig Wheeler, and he taught me the body trade and painting. And he opened a shop in North Tampa on Florida Avenue, and I went to work down there for him. I opened it for him while he stayed at Langston, and I became the shop manager. And we got into a little argument in 1956 over the drag car. I took the drag car out to the shop on a Saturday afternoon. He didn't like that because racers weren't held in high esteem in those days. And I had just built Swamp Rat 1, and I wanted to show it to him, and he said, "Get it off the grounds." And so I left the grounds, and on the way back to the house with it, I rented a building on Nebraska Avenue, opened my own shop in the fall of 1956, and I never worked for anybody since. I've always had my own business, and I still have in my museum some of the machines and tools out of that original shop on Nebraska Avenue from 1956.
Oh, wow. That's impressive.
And we were still just kind of racing on the street in the early 50s. There were no drag strips. But we went up to Zephyr Hills, a bunch of us guys, and got the city fathers to let us use the Zephyr Hills Airport for some drag racing. And we raced all afternoon, about 18 of us, no trophies, no clocks, just 2 lines painted across the strip. Everybody raced everybody. I had a 40 Ford convertible with a Mercury motor in it, and that was my start. I actually have pictures of that event. And it went from there to what you see today. It just gradually grew. And I went from the Roadster to a coupe. I'm from the coupe to a Roadster and to a dragster, which flathead powered. And then finally my Chrysler dragster that I built in 1956, and that evolved into Swamp Rat 1, which I still have all these vehicles. And it just evolved over the years till today. We just had a car at Gainesville, or a tribute car.
I was going to ask you about that. Steve Torrance drove that car to the Winter Circle this weekend.
Yes, it won the race, and what an exciting Sunday afternoon that was for me to see my name out there in front of the fans here in Florida again and win the race.